First, and most importantly, I have to say this. Before The Last Jedi was released, I kept having to endure the anticipatory remarks from those who were excited to see that film. I cringed every single time. Why? Because The Force Awakens is not a Star Wars film. Ipso facto, any film which follows is not a Star Wars film either. I didn't even want to watch The Last Jedi. I did see Rogue One, and I enjoyed that film, but that was the exception. For more of my thoughts about The Force Awakens, watch my video, The Force Awakens Sucks, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Phantom Menace. I am surprised at all of the backlash this film is generating. I honestly thought it would be a huge success, and sure it's going to make a ton of money, no doubt, yet the film seems to be a disappointment to many people. That being said, this video is my commentary about The Last Jedi, the good, the bad, and the ugly. After watching this film, it seems to me that Disney cares only about one thing, and that is making money. Is making money wrong? No, but I think Disney cares more about making money off of the Star Wars franchise than they care about telling the story of the Star Wars saga, as envisioned by George Lucas. In an interview with Charlie Rose in 2015, George Lucas had this to say.
The point was the other thing that got abused, naturally in a capitalist society, especially in an American point of view, which is the studios and everything said, well, wow, we can make a lot of money. This is a license to kill. And they did it. They just simply, and of course the only way you can really do that is not take chances. Only do something that's proven. Let's not do any. We've got to remember, Star Wars came from nowhere. American Graffiti came from nowhere. There was nothing like it. Now, if you do anything that's not a sequel, or not a TV series, or it doesn't look like one, they won't do it. They say, we want something that we know.
So that's the downside of Star Wars.
That's the downside of Star Wars, and it really shows an enormous lack of imagination and fear of creativity on the part of an industry.
This is interesting because it reveals the motivations of the film studios in that when they pursue a product, they want something that will minimize the risk of losing money. But not only that, they want immediate property that they can keep churning out additional product in the form of sequels. The original Star Wars trilogy is beautiful to watch. That is why it's such a big deal. These are great characters. Luke, Leia, Han Solo, C-3PO, and R2-D2. Fascinating planets, traveling through space, lightsabers and spaceships, and of course the mythological aspects of the story. You can see what I'm talking about with this clip alone. I want you to absorb these images for a second.
Okay, you guys got yourselves a ship.
What a piece of junk!
Watch your mouth, kid. You're gonna find yourself floating home.
I have chosen to test this station's destructive power on your home planet of Alderaan.
What?
That's no moon.
I sense something. A presence I've not felt since...
I suggest a new strategy, R2. Let the Wookiee win.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Blast them!
When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Here they come!
Only a master of evil, Darth.
I got him! Great kid! Don't get cocky!
This had better work.
You think a princess and a guy like me?
No.
Hang on tight, R2. You've got to come back.
Accelerate to attack speed!
We count 30 rebel ships, Lord Vader, but they're so small they're evading our turbo lasers.
We'll have to destroy them ship to ship.
I can't shake it!
Use the Force, Luke.
Have you not?
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
Now look at this.
I have no confirmation, but we believe FN 2187 may have helped in the escape.
In The Force Awakens, Disney made Han Solo into a bum. In The Last Jedi, Disney made Luke Skywalker into a bum. In a Vanity Fair article, Mark Hamill, the actor who plays Luke Skywalker, said this. Likewise, after reading Rian Johnson's script for The Last Jedi, Hamill said, I at one point had to say to Rian, I pretty much fundamentally disagree with every choice you've made for this character. Now, having said that, I've gotten it off my chest, and my job is now to take what you've created and do my best to realize your vision. So even Mark Hamill himself has stated he doesn't agree with what they've done with Luke Skywalker. With that alone, I can end this video. This is Disney's problem. Bottom line, they don't want to lose money. They want to play it safe and have a guaranteed moneymaker. This means making a film that is entirely formulaic and which relies upon market research and demographics. I wouldn't doubt that there wasn't some type of survey about porgs to sell to the "oh my god, he's so cute" audience. There's a prank call from Poe Dameron. I wasn't sure if he was toying with Hux or if he really couldn't hear Hux. It doesn't matter, it wasn't funny. It's a gamble that does pay off, but are we to respect people who disobey orders? I don't care about the resistance in this film. The characters aren't likable. Hell, I hate Poe Dameron. I got the sense of Tom Cruise's character in Top Gun Maverick, the hot shot who doesn't like to play by the rules.
You're everyone's problem. That's because every time you go up in the air, you're unsafe. I don't like you because you're dangerous.
That's right. Nice, man. I am dangerous.
The bombers drop little bombs that seem to have gravity. They drop like they would on Earth and not in space where there is no gravity. At first I thought they could be like little spaceships, hurtling down in a pre-designated program. But then what if one of the bombs moved slightly faster than the others? We all saw how volatile the bombs were when they ignited against themselves as bomber ships were exploded one after the other while in close proximity. And then Rey meets Luke and he's totally disinterested. But that's all part of the formula. In typical storytelling, the hero doesn't jump into the main story. He's the reluctant hero. But they made him a little too reluctant. I mean, why did they have to make him such a loser? He doesn't even want anything to do with the Force or Jedis. The title of the film, although plural, does reference Luke. But he spends the entire film not doing anything we'd expect of a Jedi. I can picture these guys in a room brainstorming the script for The Last Jedi. They realize that Luke must be the reluctant hero, but what motivation could he possibly have for not helping Rey? Oh, I've got it. He no longer wants to be a Jedi. In fact, he wants the Jedi Order destroyed. Whether or not a meeting like that actually happened is beside the point, because the reality is that is what happened in the film. Luke has shut himself out of the Force and he wants the Jedi Order destroyed. Is that the Luke Skywalker you remembered from the original trilogies? Then we are introduced to the real Snoke. Not some huge holographic projection like we saw in The Force Awakens. It's nice imagery. This is where they start distancing themselves from The Force Awakens. Snoke criticizes Kylo Ren for his mask, and also for getting beat by a girl who had never held a lightsaber before. Apparently Luke is at some sacred Jedi site where the original Jedi texts are kept. All 8 of them. Luke mopes some more and says he wants to die, and he wants the Jedi to end. Oh, boo-hoo. I was embarrassed to watch this scene, and I didn't even make the film. It's one of the things you watch and sink into your chair a bit. The Resistance transitions from hyperspace travel to a stop when the First Order ships are right on top of them. Then a handful of smaller fighters led by Kylo Ren begin an assault. Kylo feels conflicted because he senses Leia there, on the ship, and he doesn't shoot her section of the ship, but the 2 TIE fighters that are flanking Ren shoot anyway, and Leia's blasted through space. Well, I guess since Carrie Fisher died in real life, this would have been a good place to kill off her character, right? Wrong. She forces her way to the ship looking like Superman. Whatever, so apparently the Resistance can't use hyperspace again because they're being tracked and the First Order would just find them again. So instead of taking advantage of these easy pickings, the First Order decides to wait the Resistance out. I mean, you'd figure they could send some smaller fighters to intercept, or hyperspace some other ships just a little bit ahead and then turn around and then take those ships down. Or even better, hyperspace some ships through the Resistance ships. Unless Haldo was the first person to ever think of that maneuver. Why wouldn't you use a light speed attack on everything? Hell, that takes care of the Death Star right there. No need for a trench run. This is ridiculous. I mean, seriously? This is why the story is so lame. It's not even interesting. There is no tension when the First Order is hot on the Resistance trail. Chewbacca is about to eat a porg, but oh, ain't they cute? Luke changes his mind, hard to believe, and he will train Rey. Admiral Haldo, played by Laura Dern. I think it's cool she's playing a character with purple hair, because earlier this year she played a character with bright red hair in the 3rd season of Twin Peaks, which I recommend you watch my Twin Peaks documentary on my channel. Rey and Kylo Ren do this Force Skype thing. There is this subplot which involves Finn and Rose. They have to go to a gambling planet to locate a decoder who can help with their plans to deactivate the hyperspace tracker. I actually thought they were going to do this, but not only do they not get the decoder, they don't even deactivate the hyperspace tracker. We meet DJ, played by Benicio del Toro. Is it me or was he channeling Fenster from The Usual Suspects?
How many keys, you cocksucker?
In English, please.
Excuse me?
In English.
How many fucking keys, you cocksucker? What the fuck?
Rey trains a bit, but it's really lame. We are told that Kylo Ren killed all the Jedi and almost killed Luke too, but Kylo woke up to Luke's lightsaber hovering over him and he freaked. It was the kill baby Hitler scenario.
I'm listening.
We let Blaine die, but then he's not around to stop someone else from committing some huge fucked up act of evil.
The kill Hitler scenario. Right?
He wanted to kill Kylo Ren before he turned evil. But this seems so unlike Luke. For one thing, Kylo Ren does have conflict with the dark side. So how does Luke sense this dark side that he's willing to kill Kylo Ren for it? I mean, with Darth Vader, who was way worse than a bad dude, he sensed Darth Vader still had good in him. Something's not right. Meanwhile, a frigate is destroyed when it runs out of fuel. Now, since there is no friction in space, the frigate should still keep moving at the same speed always ahead of the First Order. Yet we see it slowing down. Huh? Finn and Rose escape from jail, and they end up with these space animals that are used for racing. There is this whole chase sequence which I must admit I did like because of John Williams' score. This was typical John Williams stuff. Actually, the score in this film was not that bad. Luke's hand is mechanical, which is a little weird since at the end of The Empire Strikes Back they gave him a hand with artificial skin. At the end of the Attack of the Clones, Anakin has the same funky-looking mechanical hand, as if George Lucas were trying to say that when Luke lost his hand, it was an innovation in medical technology. But we're going backwards now. Huh? Kylo and Rey force Skype again, and there are echoes of The Empire Strikes Back, where Darth Vader tries to lure Luke to the dark side. Kylo tells Rey to let the past die. Is this a subliminal message to the fans, to forget the original trilogy and focus on the new stuff? Rey falls in a hole and is immersed in water. This scene is interesting. Here at this Jedi site, the trials are more true. Not like Luke's test on Dagobah. We see a distortion of time and space, a drug trip, altered states of the mind, the meaning of self, lifting the veil of the id. Rey takes off. Then Yoda shows up. Luke tells Yoda he's going to burn the Jedi text and tree. Really now, I'm going to do it. But Yoda does it for him. And we see that Luke was actually fond of the books and sight. It was nice hearing Yoda's theme. But he says something inconsistent with Star Wars. He says Rey possessed the information contained in the Jedi text. But it took Luke forever to become a Jedi. Even Vader told him he wasn't a Jedi in The Empire Strikes Back. So Rey is his character who instinctively knows how to use the Force? Huh? Rose and Finn exchange some dialogue with DJ, who tells them there is some moral ambiguity with respect to good guys and bad guys. The weapons manufacturers will sell to both sides. I mean, what is the lesson of that message? It indicates the rebels are just as bad as the First Order, because they're hypocrites, willing to buy technology from manufacturers who sell to the First Order. Then there's this brief mutiny which ends as quickly as it started. Really, what was the point of this scene? It should have been relegated for the deleted scenes. Kylo Ren, Rey, and Snoke meet at last. Snoke interrogates Rey, and it turns out Snoke was behind the Force Skype between Ren and Rey. Kylo Ren doesn't appreciate being used like this, so he kills Snoke. Ooh, you bad, Kylo Ren. It's too bad because I really thought Snoke was an interesting character, but I say that with great reluctance. A lot of people like the battle that happens in Snoke's room. I was like, meh. Rey fights with gritted teeth. I mean, she has so much anger. How is she supposed to be a Jedi if she has all this anger? Isn't a Jedi Knight supposed to not be angry because that makes it easy to give in to the dark side of the Force? But the context of this scene is that Kylo Ren is hoping she will turn to the dark side. But Yoda tells Luke that Rey has all she needs to know about the Force, or what was in the original Jedi text. But hold on, in The Empire Strikes Back, Yoda said Luke was too old and that he was too reckless to learn the ways of the Force. Clearly Luke had to be trained, and it wasn't until Return of the Jedi that Yoda told Luke that he would only be a Jedi when he confronted Vader. But with Rey, it's different. You get this scene where Holdo hyperspaces into Snoke's ship, splitting it in two. But I complained about that earlier. Ren tells Rey again to let the past die. But they end up wanting Luke's lightsaber, but they force split the saber in two. I thought the film was going to be over, but it kept on going. I was like, oh man. Then there's a final battle that I could not have cared less about. Until Luke shows up, I gotta admit, when he showed up he was like Clint Eastwood. But he holographically force projected himself there. I mean, why not show up for real? He reminded me a little bit of Ace Ventura, Pet Detective When Nature Calls.
You're back? You can dispense with the smallpox all-knowing one.
And Luke died anyway. The last scene is of a little kid looking up at the stars, presumably with hopes to join the Resistance. A thought to consider. Many people were expecting this film to be a rip-off of The Empire Strikes Back. Just like The Force Awakens was a rip-off of A New Hope, and perhaps that was the intention the whole time. At any rate, they built up The Force Awakens with the idea that more would be explained later. Well, nothing was explained. In fact, they just hit the delete button on Snoke, the Knights of Ren, and Rey's mysterious origins. I even thought there was a possibility that this film would be a mirror of The Empire Strikes Back in terms of quality. Boy, was I wrong. You know, Disney really had an opportunity to do something really great, and I think they messed up big time. But what does it matter? They're going to release a Han Solo film soon, and more Star Wars crap is surely to come. If you like this video, then like, share, and subscribe, because I don't think there is another Last Jedi review quite like this one.